Hello, I'm Katie Derham and welcome to the Richard Burnett Historical Collection of Early Keyboard Instruments, which forms the core of what used to be the Finchcocks Musical Museum and which is still the most exceptional resource and charity for anybody who's passionate about early keyboards.
Hello, my name is Gary Branch and I'm delighted to be here at the home of the Richard Burnett Collection of Historic Keyboard Instruments to introduce to you one of the finest makes of piano in London in the early 19th century. Well, I'm delighted to be by the side of this wonderful 1822 Clementi Co instrument. Clementi took over the Longman and Broderick business around about 1800 and teamed up with two brothers named Collard from the West Country. Straight away, they began to produce high-quality pianos in London, and this is a fine example of such an instrument. So in this instrument, we have very much the type of casework that Clementi pianos were renowned for. High quality, fashionable in the Regency style. We have beautiful brass inlays and mouldings on a rosewood veneer. Now, Clementi had been very well associated with makes such as Broadwood pianos and Stoddart from London during the 18th century. And his instruments very much follow their design and construction. They have very much a resonant and powerful sound. Clementi was also an innovator, and on this instrument we have one of his best innovations, a patent that he called the bridge of reverberation or harmonic swell. Now this consists of a bar between two bridges which enable the unsounding length of the string to vibrate in sympathy with your playing, this creating a haze or a bloom of sound. I'm going to now demonstrate these different pedals and how they affect the sound of this instrument and show you how they work. So here we are next to the instrument with the three pedals of this particular piano. They're not, though, exactly the same as you would find on a modern piano. On the left, we do have the standard una, due, corda pedal. However, the sustain that we'd normally find on the right on the modern piano is now moved to the middle position. And when I depress it, this gives you an idea of the sort of sound that we get from the sustain pedal. Nice and powerful and resonant, but not perhaps with that bloom of sound that we might be used to on more modern instruments. Here on the right is the pedal of harmonic swell over the bridge of reverberation. And when I press this pedal, the bar will rise and we'll be able to hear that telltale bloom or haze of sound. And as you can tell, it goes on for quite a long while. Now I'd like to show you both the pedals together. And in the sound that's produced, you might be able to determine that you can hear something of the sound world of pianos to come later in the 19th century. There's definitely an increase in resonance through the bridge of reverberation and harmonic swell. Let's listen. I hope you are able to determine the difference in the sound between just the sustain and the sustain with the harmonic swell added. But I do think that this really does make us realise that Clementi himself was not just a fine pianist and composer, but was thinking about the piano in all ways. Before Clementi started making his own instruments around 1800, he became very familiar with the English makers such as Broadwood and Stoddart. He became very associated with Broadwood, and in 1781, John Broadwood and Sons invited Clementi to go on a musical tour promoting their instruments around Europe. In that year, Clementi arrived in the great musical city of Vienna and in the court of Emperor Joseph II, where, of course, he met the great musician in the city at the time, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. It was decided that they would undertake a duel together under the direction of the emperor himself. At this duel, they performed many of their most popular compositions and did many wonderful improvisations showing their technical prowess and musical skill. At the end of the competition, the emperor, ever the diplomat, declared the competition a draw. This suited Clementi very well, for here he was, the unknown musician, coming in to the home of the great Mozart. And so he was very praising and complimentary about Mozart's musical ability. This not could be said for Mozart himself, for Mozart was the undisputed king of music in Vienna at the time, and I don't think in any way he wished to share his crown. Perhaps picking up on the fact that Clementi had a prestigious technique, especially in thirds, he declared that Clementi was nothing more than a mere mechanic. This title very much sadly stayed with Clementi, and Mozart never changed his view of him until he passed away in 1791. However, in the year of 1791, Mozart released one of his most famous operas, The Magic Flute. And it's very interesting to note that a theme that Mozart had heard 10 years early in the duel, played by Clementi as one of his sonatas, appears in his opera. So perhaps Mozart in private didn't think Clementi was just a mere mechanic. We shall never know. However, here is, in its original version on the piano, built by Clementi, the sonata in B flat, opus 24, number 2. Well, I'm delighted to be standing actually next to a portrait of the great Clementi himself. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about his piano of 1822 and hearing his music played on that instrument. Thank you for watching.
If you'd like to find out more about the charity and the workshops and the events that take place here, then please do so. If you'd like to support, we'd like you to do that as well. Go to the comments section beneath this film or go and visit the Finchcocks charity website.